G'day, I'm Stephen Page from Page Proven Family and Fertility Lawyers, and you're listening and watching to the Australian Family and Fertility Law podcast. Today I'm talking about the recent dramas that occurred with Monash IVF in Queensland, actually in Brisbane, where they used the wrong embryo. So they used the embryo from one couple and then gave it to another couple, resulting in the birth of a child. I won't talk about the specific case other than this. This is the first time it's ever happened in any IVF clinic in Australia. Our IVF clinics are top rated. They're really world leading. We've seen this kind of story happen a number of times in the United States, for example, and in other countries. But despite having 30, 40 years of IVF in Australia, this is the first time. We've had thousands of children born via IVF, and this is number one. Human error can happen. I feel sorry for the embryologist or embryologists who made this error, because they will be forever ruining the day that they made that mistake, that they will take it to the grave. For the families involved, this must be heartbreaking and extremely difficult. I hope that the media and members of the public give them their privacy. What I'd hate to see is a child being brought up who is, for the next 20 years, identified primarily by what a Google search says about them. They deserve better. But in any case, one of the issues that's been raised with me is whether there should be more regulation. Well, mistakes happen even with the best regulation. One of the features that is on the way in Queensland is the Assisted Reproductive Technology Act. That was enacted last year in September 2024. That act is in place, but it doesn't yet require licensing of Queensland IVF clinics. They have to be accredited with the Fertility Society of Australia and New Zealand, but they don't have yet to be licensed by the state government. That starts on 1 September. So I don't see that there's any point that there be more regulation. We'll just see how that regulation goes first and bed that down. The other issue that's been raised with me about who is the parent and where does the child live? Well, that's assuming that there's a fight in court and a determination by a judge, and that there's no report of that happening. So who is a parent is governed by our Status of Children Act, it's a Queensland Act, and our Family Law Act, and it's clear that the intended parents or the recipient parents in a scenario such as this are the parents. The question then is about where does the child live? Well, without commenting about this case, I'll talk about the Baby Gammy case. You may remember the Baby Gammy case. It was an international media firestorm, a dumpster fire, I think, if we use the American language. It involved a couple from Western Australia, Mr. and Mrs. Farnell, who went to Thailand for surrogacy. What they didn't tell the agency in Thailand, and nor did it ask, nor the surrogate, was that Mr. Farnell was a convicted paedophile several times over. The surrogate, Mrs. Chanbua in Thailand, didn't tell the agency in Thailand, nor did she bother telling the Farnells, that she had put her age up improperly and that she'd always wanted to have a boy. Well, she gets pregnant to two children, a boy and a girl. It's discovered that the boy has Down syndrome, and there was some suggestion by the doctor that there should be an abortion. The Farnells opposed that. There was media reporting to the contrary, but these are the findings by a judge in Western Australia. Anyway, both children are born, and Mrs. Chanbua, I should say, decided to hang on to the boy, Baby Gammy, so he remained in Thailand. And this was in the pre-coup period in Bangkok, when there was rioting and shootings occurring, and Mr. and Mrs. Farnell, for their safety and that of the girl, Piper, decided to get out. That was about the best they could do. For some reason, after they got home, they decided to start court proceedings in Western Australia about Piper. Well, of course, because they'd done that, they had to serve those proceedings on Mrs. Chanbua. Her response, it's no surprise, was to say, she wanted baby Piper to live with her. So then the question for the court was, well, where does this child go? And there was a lot more in the media, and unusually for an Australian family law case, there were no pseudonyms used for this case because it was all out in the media. The world's media, with their arc lights, had parked outside the Farnells' home in Western Australia. Child safety officials from Western Australia had literally gone to their home under the glare of the world's media publicity. And really, it was such a transparent effort. The first thing that the court determined about that was, in terms of risk, that there really wasn't an unacceptable risk to Piper being in the Farnells' care because, well, first, the child safety officials in Western Australia had scheduled attendances there to make sure that nothing had happened. And then also they were doing the drop-ins, unscheduled attendances. I suppose when you've had the world media camp outside someone's house and you're being judged by everyone around the world, seemingly, for your performance, you make sure your performance matters. The second issue, though, then was, well, what's the impact on this child of moving? And she would have moved from the whole environment that she knew, namely that of her mum and dad, where they spoke English and she was loved, to going to a foreign country where she wouldn't be cared for by them, but she'd be cared for by a stranger, to be with a brother that she didn't know, and speaking Thailand, and really with foreign customs. Now, we don't have the same extremes in the Monash case, but the principle is right, that if you remove a child early in life from its attachments, you only do that in the most dire circumstances, because the social science research says that to sever those attachments at that stage can have potential permanent detrimental effect. It doesn't matter how good your parenting is the rest of the days, the effect on that child can be catastrophic and remain so for the rest of their life. So without predicting what a judge might do, certainly we can see from the Baby Gammy case that judges are reluctant to remove because, of course, their focus is not on the wrongs and rights of what happened to the adults in the room. It's about the child, the best interests of the child. That's what their focus has always been and must always be. Thank you for watching and listening. I'm Stephen Page from the Australian Family and Fertility Law Podcast.